to this very, very exciting monthly meeting for Unlock Higher Education. I'm super excited about what we have today. Um, uh, but I'm not going to tell much about it. I'm going to leave it to Dr. Andres to do so. But just know that I'm really excited to have this meeting today. It's very special in my heart. And I see wonderful faces here in this particular meeting. And I'm so thankful that you guys are all here and joining me in different levels. And with nothing more to say, I'll leave it to Dr. Andres to tell that great, exciting news that we have for you guys today.
As Unlock Higher Ed is, of course, a very has very close ties to P2P. To those who may not be familiar, I'm Stan Andres. I'm the executive director and co-founder of P2P, or Prison to Pro, or From Prison Cells to PhD. And P2P has been around for about 8 years now. And many of the folks that you see here are part of the P2P family. P2P was originated, as I mentioned, I'm one of the co-founders. Myself and two other formerly incarcerated individuals founded. So, being a person who has been impacted by the system and has been incarcerated, we wanted to create something that was a place where people can feel like they belonged, and a place that they felt that they can grow and learn and be comfortable to experience the challenges that often people who've gone to prison experience, and know that this was a safe place, that you might stumble, you might experience these roadblocks, and you might experience some really tough setbacks. But you have a place that you can come to and know that you are home, know that you are loved, know that you are a whole person. And knowing that you have that place, it's also this place for growth. We provide resources to help people continue growing towards whatever it is that their skills lie, and where their heart desires to go. That is that's why we were created, um, to help people along that journey, and to be that space for people to feel that they can be themselves. So, along that journey, so I think, many people know um, my particular story, but just real quick, being a person who was sentenced to 10 years in prison, and actually, had a prosecutor pushing for life in prison. She felt that this, young Black boy from Ferguson was irreparable and needed to be locked up for the rest of his life. Fast forward some time, I did my time on the 10-year sentence, and I'm now Dr. Stan Andres, endocrinologist, scientist, assistant professor at Howard University College of Medicine. Going through the tenure process, I believe that I should soon be an associate tenure professor here at Howard University College of Medicine, the mecca of HBCUs. I love all my higher education folks and all my HBCUs, but Howard is something special, being the #1 producer of Black and brown scientists and physicians in our country. Very proud of that. Also was at Johns Hopkins Medicine, Georgetown, Imperial College London. Didn't live up to those expectations of this prosecutor. And as I mentioned, ended up starting and co-founding P2P to help other people with similar experiences move towards, elevating themselves personally, professionally, spiritually, and just being a whole person. And in that work, the P2P Scholars Program is where so many of these faces that and folks that will be talking to you here soon come from. But we knew that we needed to be doing policy work at the same time. So, I think all of us were just in New Orleans. I don't even know if I quite mentioned this when we all had the opportunity to be together just a moment ago. But we visited Operation Restoration, and Sarita Steib, she was not there for the visit, but she came out with us when we went to the jazz concert. Um, and so many of you, I think, got to meet her. So this here, Unlock Higher Education, is actually, one of her brainchilds, as well as several other people, including myself and P2P. So, we are, several organizations and people came together and founded Unlock Higher Ed in 2019. And it was really right in the midst of the movement of Second Chance Pell. So Second Chance Pell had just came about through the Obama administration, but Pell had not been fully restored yet. And what people like me and Sarita and others that I'm not naming, Noel Vest was a big person in that. Zaria Davis was a big person in that. Um, CCF, College and Community Fellowship in New York, were one of the founding partners. But what we realized is that, as Second Chance Pell was moving in, that enough of our voices weren't in the conversation. And so we created Unlock Higher Ed to center and elevate our voice, not to just bring it to the conversation, because oftentimes we were being brought to the conversation as kind of this sidebar. We weren't the experts. And, this was really founded to say that, we need to be, centered in these conversations and a big part of it. And so that's what we did. And, we brought formerly incarcerated leaders and folks, and we founded Unlock Higher Ed in 2019, and with this big focus of getting Pell reinstated. We thought we were going to be on a 10-year journey, or like, it had been over 20 years. So we thought we had at least, like, we didn't know that we were over halfway in the journey of getting it complete. We thought we had about another 10 years of work. But after just 2 years of work and doing some really on the ground work, lots of hill days, Pell obviously got passed, and we are in this new phase of Unlock Higher Education. Um, and it is some of the original partners are no longer as active, and P2P kind of remains this backbone for Unlock Higher Education. And we have the amazing Judith Negron that is leading us in this new era of Unlock Higher Ed. And they, of course, announced some really cool new initiatives that they have going on. So really excited about that. Um, so that's a little bit about Unlock Higher Ed, but I think what we are here for today also, of course, ties in to what Unlock Higher Ed was founded on, was elevating the voices of those directly impacted in this conversation. So, I think maybe some might be familiar, and I don't know if I could drop it in the chat, but I think we don't necessarily have to also. But through the work that we do, really in the policy work that we do, I had shared my story to ban the box, one of the other initiatives that Unlock Higher Ed took on right at the beginning. And my story got picked up by the Washington Post, and then by NPR, and then by PBS, and then by ABC, and then by some others. And then eventually some publishers started reaching out. And that led to me publishing my first book, From Prison Cells to PhD, It's Never Too Late to Do Good. And that was distributed by a major publisher, Simon and Schuster, and they put me on all these different speaking engagements and book signings and such, and podcasts. And I ended up doing a podcast. I did a whole bunch of podcasts for the first book. I did a podcast that ended up catching the ear of another publisher, and this was also a top 5 publisher. They invited me to a coffee conversation just because they said they heard me speaking on this podcast, and they wanted to just learn more. And what I, of course, I was talking about the book, but with the first book, but really what I was actually doing was just talking about P2P. The book and the organization share the same name, From Prison Cells to PhD. And, so when I would ever do these podcasts, really what I would be talking about are the faces that you see on the screen right here. And I would just be telling them about how amazing, we've had the opportunity to, help some really amazing people and, help them turn their lives around and help elevate the excellence that was already present in each of them. Um, and so that's what I talk about when I do these podcasts. And so this publisher reached out and was like, that was so amazing. Like P2P, I really want to highlight P2P. And it was kind of like there was no expectations in this little coffee meeting. But then, he reached back and said he wanted to offer me a book deal to write the story of P2P. And I came back to this particular person who was actually one of the great grandsons of the so this was Wiley Publishing. And I spoke to one of the like great grandsons of the founder. And that's who I was speaking with. And he said that Wiley wanted to offer me a publishing deal to write a book on P2P. And I came back to him and I was like, I would love to do that. That sounds fantastic. But I don't think that it's appropriate that I write the book. I'd rather have the real people that we're going to be talking about write the book. And so we renegotiated the deal a little bit, and we set it to be actually a series. So if you would, we're about to drop a link to the book here in a moment. You'll see that it says first edition because actually the deal is for multiple books. Because when I shared with them that after 8 years, we've now had over 2,000 people apply to the program. We have had close to 1,000 people go through the program. Um, and like we agreed that we wanted to have the actual people tell the story. So I was like, how do we tell that many stories? And so we're actually doing multiple editions. We put out an application where we're doing 12 stories per book. Um, and I have some of the amazing people that were selected as co-authors here joining us today to tell a little bit about themselves and a little bit about what they'll be talking about in the book. Um, and yeah, I mean, I think that's it. I don't know if I went too long, but that is the intro, the name of the book. I don't know if Mickey has dropped it in the chat there. Yes. So you can see it in the chat. Um, and we encourage you to we'll be dropping that. That's a Barnes and Noble link there, but the name of the book is Breaking Chains, Building Futures, Pathways to Redemption, Education, and Excellence. We really hope that you go ahead and click on that link and get you a pre-order copy. The book is not out until September, but you can get a pre-order copy of it today. And we truly believe what the work that we are doing, the work that Unlock Higher Education is doing, is indeed breaking chains and building futures. So we hope that you help us do that. And I think I will pass it back to, or I guess I could just open it up. Do I pass it back to you, Judith, or should I just open it up to our discussion with our co-authors?
I want to, number one, thank you, Dr. Andres, for having that great opening and introduction, and of course, more importantly, the history of Unlock Higher Education. As we know that you in multiple collaboration with other organizations have been able to build this platform. And we're just pushing forward what you guys already built and established. And so I'm happy to see that today we can come together as authors and provide, a glimpse of our stories and how not only Unlock Higher Education and P2P has supported us in this reentry journey, but other places where we have received support as well. So thank you for making Unlock Higher Education a space where we can discuss these opportunities and these resources. And also thank you for giving us the opportunity to have it in writing through this book that you have provided so candidly to us authors. And with that, I will bring it now to 12 talented, very talented authors that I see here. And, you know, whichever one wants to go first, I'll open the floor for that.
And I think I was hoping to frame it as I can be kind of a moderator and
Perfect.
ask a question to our panel here. And so the question that I wanted to start with this idea of, you know, what we just said, Unlock Higher Ed was founded on really elevating our voices and centering voices of those directly impacted, because oftentimes our voices, uh, you know, don't get centered or they get told by someone else. And so it sometimes changes up. As I mentioned, you know, Washington Post did a good job. But then like some of these other places, I think one of the places that published something, the headline was ex-con turned endocrinologist, right? So and I intentionally told them not to use that type of language, yet they put that at the very top. So I quickly learned that it's important that we need to tell our stories, because oftentimes when someone else is telling it, they're like, this is what everybody wants to hear. They want to hear that you're an ex-con turned into criminality, you know. So they use language that we wouldn't necessarily use. So I guess my first question is, how do you feel about being the author of your story? And I could pick on someone, or if we have a first volunteer out of our co-authors that would like to go. And if you can, tell us your name and, your hometown or where you're calling from as well. How
All right,
about,
so I'll go first then, if we're shy about it. So first of all, thank you again. To have been given this opportunity is great. It's a great experience for me. Coming home in this reentry process hasn't been easy. Judith Negron. I am in Miami, Florida. I often say that Florida is a different country altogether because we're so behind in the scale of reentry and how the supports are out there that become lifelines to people like me. So I'm very blessed and excited to be able to work with networks and organizations like you. And I hope that we can have a larger, more strong stance in my state when it comes to the support that people going through reentry are given. And with that comes not only the language that is used, but also the resources that are provided. And I find it that it's been quite difficult to return in my community. Backstory, I was I've been blessed again to be able to have all the resources that I could fathom as far as like family support, community support, understanding of education, resources, employment opportunities, all of that stuff. I still had trouble coming home and getting reacclimated to this space. I was absent for almost a decade from while incarcerated. And so that was tough for me to come home to realize that an entire community have moved on. And the access was not there. And so I had to end up going outside of my community to organizations like this that provided a national platform that gave us the opportunity to bring resources to this area that were not present in the past. And so even though I was absent and for a long period of time, if you think about it, not as long as I would have been had been given a 35-year sentence for a first time nonviolent white collar case. That was a hefty sentence, but luckily I received a clemency in 2020. And so when I came back, I was lost. I was lost. Even though I had what I thought I needed, right? My community, my family support, the educational background, the history of professional work experience, all of that, became a big struggle to really go in this reentry journey. And so if it wasn't for the sake of opportunities that I received with platforms like this, with organizations like this, that provided that lifeline, it would have been much more difficult. And so I always think I came home to all of this thinking that I had everything, right? And those who don't, because I was unique in the sense that I had good support system. I had access to resources. I had, you know, a background that could give me and open doors for me. And it was still very, very difficult in this reentry journey. It was very difficult in this space. And so I always think back, those that do not have that support system, those that do not have that educational or professional background, those that do not have access to the resources, how much more difficult it would be for them to really succeed in this reentry journey, which doesn't stop, right? It doesn't stop once you're home. It continues on. This is your path, right? And sometimes people say that this is actually a second sentence because you'll always be carrying this in your background. But how do you provide or open doors with that in your background? And also, how do you connect to organizations and individuals that can provide you that support? So that's why I'm so thankful for Dr. Andres and others in the industry or in the field of criminal justice reform and what they've done for me, for my family, and also for my community, because it's given me the education and the knowledge that I need to also bring it to my community and see these are the resources that we need. This is the support that we need. It takes a village, and you could be part of this village. And I'm just so thankful that all of you in this current webinar and this box have been part of my village. And so I'm really thankful for that.
Thank you, Judith. So I just redropped in the chat. So a couple of things I dropped in the chat. So I dropped a full list of chapters and authors in the chat. We don't have there's 13 authors and myself, so we have a good number of them here. Of course, when Unlock Higher Ed comes knocking, we can't say no. So we of course we got a good number of us here, which is fantastic. And so I want to how about the other question that I ask, you can just choose which one you want. So you can either choose the question of how do you feel about being the author of your story, or you can choose to tell your who I am, or you can choose to tell us about your chapter. So you have three options, and who would like to go next? I'll pick on one of
It's
the.
okay. I'll go.
Okay.
I don't know if I could be heard. Good afternoon.
Yes.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Hello, my name is Priscilla Collins. I have on a hat right now. That's why I don't have video, and I'm at work. This is my first time in this meeting. I didn't even know we were having a meeting. I just saw someone put some info, and I clicked, and I've been working since 6, so I realized that it's 1. I'm like, wow, great. I came in at the right time, 1:07. So again, my full name is Priscilla Sia Collins Cole, but I go by Priscilla. Who am I is what I would like to answer. Well, who is Priscilla? Priscilla is still trying to find out. Yes, who am I? Priscilla is a 46-year-old mother of 2. She loves the color red. She has a passion for traveling, and she's very proudful of Africa. Let me just state that. That concludes me.
Okay, okay. So I mean, I am very grateful to see you here. We of course had many conversations. Um, I mean, do you want to share with them uh who you're representing out of the co-authors of the book?
Yes, I would love to. Thank you for thinking of that. And we actually have something this week, April, I think the 30th. Yeah, the 30th at 8 a.m. So the person that I'm representing is my first child. I had him when I was 21, so we definitely grew up together. His name is Elijah Barbakar Ndi. His last name is so difficult to say. Even I had problems. Of course, the nurses and the doctors all had problems. And I remember for like a few days, I had to practice saying his last name. But he's definitely a love in my life. And um, hopefully, I will get to see him this Friday, May 1st.
Thank you, Priscilla.
Certainly, certainly. Thank you for having me.
So, I mean, I love all of the chapters in the book. As you might imagine, I was part of the process with the publisher and selecting the co-authors. And you know, Laj has a special creativity about him that I think is, you know, kind of uniquely present in his chapter. And he added some of his artistry and some of his creativity. He's also, you know, involved in various various forms of art that he included in the chapter. So thank you, Priscilla, for joining us. So there's actually I should have mentioned that, and I see Desiree, you about to jump in. I'll let you jump in. So several there were you know, two authors of the book are currently incarcerated. So you know, we wanted to be able to P2P serves people who are currently incarcerated. So we wanted voice from currently incarcerated people. And I can certainly share a little bit about that individual, as I don't see, you know, the one of the people that we helped that worked with to help get his chapter and put his chapter to life. He wrote his chapter in pen inside, and you know, we got it here, but he is not with us. I'll share a little bit about him maybe if we have time at the end. But Desiree, I see you were about to jump in.
I really wanted to add that Priscilla's voice is so soothing. I could just listen to her talk longer. Wink, wink, Dr. Stan, if you're thinking about an audiobook. Yeah, that was nice. That was nice to hear her speak. But to kind of echo what Judy was saying, I felt really privileged by my support system with my situation, and definitely feel like I'm grateful for the fact that I didn't have to serve 6 or 30 years in prison, that they were able to get a paid attorney for me, and all the lessons that I learned from the people that I was incarcerated with. Um, and she really said some things though that resonate with me. So when I was incarcerated in Cook County Jail back in 2012, um, I was about 5 classes away from completing my Master's of Public Administration at Ohio State. And after that, I was looking to get an MPA, a dual degree with my JD, because I wanted to go into public policy and all the things that I don't really care about at this point anymore. But I just felt like nothing mattered when I came back home. Like I wasn't able to go back to Ohio. I had to come to Pennsylvania. I just felt like my life restarted. I felt like I would never be able to finish anything again. And it was just until recently, like connecting with P2P, learning about the Be in the Box movement. Like I had no idea. I thought I literally couldn't finish. Like until I connected with P2P, I'm like, oh wow, people are working on this. Things are changing. And even learning things up until just recently in chat with you guys. Like, no, that's done. Like, we're working on these, so we're getting things done. And so I say that to say that I'm really grateful to be connected with P2P, because I'm literally still learning things. Like for a couple years, I left the country. I went off the grid. Like I got tattoos. Like I literally just changed my life around. Like, I felt like in the F the system kind of way. And I'm realizing that, there's a balance there and like people are working. So it's not always about like running out of the country and just being off grid and doing these things. And since my incarceration, I have four more children, and just like my life just took a total turn in the opposite direction of what I was working on pre-incarceration. And making the decisions and financial based crime that led me into the situation that I was in. That I don't, I'm grateful for, because I feel like if it wasn't for that mistake, I wouldn't be here with you amazing people right now. Like I would be stuck in this box, probably in a cubicle somewhere, like 300 pounds, probably eating Wendy's at my desk right now. You know what I mean? Like doing all the things that I was supposed to do, but meanwhile miserable. So I feel like sometimes like these mistakes that we make like we run into these amazing people along the way. Like this journey, like you sent out a beautiful email this morning, Dr. Andrews. I couldn't even respond to it, but that was just like it kind of echoed my feelings for this group. Like I do feel like it's mushy, but I do feel like I love y'all. Like I don't even know y'all that well, but just the feelings that I get when I'm with y'all is like gratitude. Like it's like a tribe. Like no one in my environment gives me those feelings. And I just want to be there again. Like, you know what I mean? And I feel like if it wasn't for the big mistake or whatever it is, like I wouldn't be in this space and to be able to be around people like y'all. So I have zero regrets about it at this point. I'm grateful. I wish I could finish my master's, and then being connected with y'all, I realized that I can finish my master's. Like I actually get my PhD. Like the future is not done, and I'm just really really grateful for the opportunity to co-author on this book. I'm grateful for the speaking engagements that I'm still a bit nervous about. Everything is still overwhelming. It's all extremely exciting, and so I guess I'm done rambling right now, but I just want to express my gratitude, my admiration for this group, and just like I have no regrets about my mistake at this point, because if it didn't happen, I wouldn't be in this space. And so everything happens for a reason. It's cliche, but it's real. So yeah, I pass the mic to whoever wants to take it.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, why don't we do that? Let's popcorn it. So you pick someone, Desiree.
I picked Nancy because I saw that. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry, Oswald. Oswald, I'm sorry, but I did see Nancy was trying to talk after Judy or before Judy.
That's okay. Thanks.
We might have
So
saved Nancy for last because he gonna take it now.
no, actually,
Oh,
I wanted to keep it short for a reason. So for me, I'm Nancy. I'm the program director for P2P, and so I chose to just not go into the chapter, but just to talk about the road home and the journey. So for me, especially after, incarceration, I'm sure it was traumatic for all of us and everything, but I have to say my incarceration prior to going in the system was violent, and during my time in the system was very violent. I was incarcerated in California Department of Corrections. I was shot in the system. I caught a case in the system, a body. Uh, it was just a violent, horrible place. And so trying to unpack all of that and then trying to discover who I am in the midst of all of that and who I want to be, the new iteration of myself. Not believing that, believing but not believing, that cognitive dissonance. Am I going to ever have a chance to really touch and be with my family ever again? That weighed heavily on me. And then even all the way up until coming out the door, I always felt that the rug was going to be snatched from under me. It was going to be get to the door and, oh, we tricked him, one of those things. And then finally getting to San Diego, where I was allowed to parole. But in all of that, it took me, I was home for 10 years before I really, to be honest with you, felt like I was home. And that even morphed back into my therapist and I, we unpackaged some of it, and it morphed into when did I ever really feel whole and home, right? Prior to going into the military and everything, I just didn't feel home, and home represented a place of peace and stability for me. And I didn't have that. And even when I came home, because I knew my freedom could be taken away. And then, so even now, fast forward in this climate we find ourselves in an administration, to me, it's only a matter of time when I hear the terms due process, habeas corpus, and those things. I think back of all of the writs I filed, both as a pro se litigant and with counsel and all of that. And I wonder how far is it before they get to me as a convicted felon, right? How far is it before they get to me as a person of color and as a poor person, someone on a lower economical strata, and gaffle me up? I think about this raid they just had. And so all of this plays and weighs on my consciousness when we talk about the road home. I wonder, did I ever get here? Even in the service, we had to answer the question. Some of my comrades never made it. And some of us, though we physically came back, we never really made it home. We just transitioned from one environment to another. And so that's kind of where I am sometimes in this space that we call home. And so having a voice, being able to now tell my own story, no longer, I'm a big, so what Dr. Andres was alluding to was the minister in me. So I believe that in scripture it talks about, and Dr. Moore can go there too, that there's an adversary that's always speaking against us, but we have the greatest, defender, our Savior. And so for me, I think back at that time in court when my adversary wrote all of these things, some of them true, some of them not so true. But I remember sitting in court for one of my hearings, and they painted such a horrible picture that I almost stood up and said, yeah, lock his ass up. He deserves to go to penitentiary, right? And then I realized, holy fool, they talking about you, and but they had painted this horrible picture, a picture that I never saw myself at. But that just goes to show you how important it is, not just to change the narrative, but to be part of the conversation. In law, and I'll end with this, they ask, is there anyone here to speak for the defendant? And for most of us, the courtroom goes silent. And so the judge is left to make a determination. This person is of no value to themselves, their family, their community. So I'm going to place them in society's trash heap, the penitentiary, the penal system. And that's what ended up happening to me. Yeah, when I caught my case, most of you may or may not know, I was an active duty United States Marine. I was first taken to the brig, the federal prison. And I had spent months there before they realized I had never been charged with a crime. So that's where we are. And so when we understand these things, and now with a clear head, we can say, no, I'm going to sit at the table. I'm going to participate in how they identify and understand what's going on. That's why this book and what we're doing here, I believe, is so important. So I'll pass it on to Dr. Becker.
Yeah. If I could just add to that. So thank you, Mancy. And I think, so Mancy's chapter is chapter 12. It's the last chapter of the book, and it's called The Long Road Home. And, as it's very, I mean, again, I'm biased. I love all the chapters. I've, of course, read and was part of the editing process for all the chapters, which is something I didn't speak to. That was also a very, um, unique and fun process of working with Wiley, and having all their editorial revisions. But the Long Road Home, Mancy's chapter, is very symbolic, as he's just kind of alluded to these ideas of what home meant. And he was home for he went through this, multiple decade in prison, and then finally got home, but still wasn't quite home yet. And, he mentioned for 10 years that he still didn't feel like it was home yet. So then he found home, though. And it's just a very powerful chapter, on how he, his long road home. So, thank you, Mancy. Um, were we gonna pass it to Oz? Were you gonna jump in?
Yes, I was going to jump in, but this kind of going to be a double move right now, Dr. Stan. I'm going to put you on the spot. Um, for our person that's behind the wall, that's not here right now, I think we got to uplift him because we said we'll do him last, and if time is left, we got to be a voice for the voiceless. We can't put him last because that's where they put us in society, and they get to us whenever they have time. So we got to bring that forward. I sacrifice my time for that
Okay,
individual.
okay, I appreciate that, and much love, and I appreciate the accountability there. I do agree
Yeah,
100%.
that was powerful. Yeah.
Um, so the person that I was referring to is Philip Alvin Jones. Philip has been incarcerated for over 3 decades. I believe it's about 35 or 36 years of incarceration at this point. Um, he was incarcerated at, I believe, and it's a little bit hard. I know his story very well, and I'm just gonna keep saying I believe, although I'm pretty certain about what I'm saying. But I believe it was, he was arrested and incarcerated at just 17 years old. He's been part of P2P since 2019. So he is one of our incarcerated scholars. We've been working, he got incarcerated in Maryland. He has a crime that did not include anyone losing their life. And yet they sentenced him, I believe, to multiple life sentences. That we now, P2P, one of the amazing things that we've done in our work that we do, Manti and I sit on this committee called the Lived Experience Committee, where Governor Moore, our governor here in the state of Maryland, came in and appointed, the first Black woman Secretary of Corrections in the state. This person happened to be someone that P2P had a great relationship with. She was the first person that brought P2P inside Maryland Corrections when she was just over programs. So she became the secretary, and she started this. She said, she has already been being advised by us. And she said she created this committee called the Lived Experience Committee, that we serve as an advisory committee, that we give her direct we give her direct things to do, and she's actually been doing a lot of those things. One of the things that we said we need to get rid of, the probation committee, commissioners were all, white males that had been around for many years, that the numbers in Maryland show there's just drastic racial disparities. She, on the behest of our Lived Experience Committee, we said we need to get rid of all of these. I mean, I ain't gonna say, you know, anything else after that, but because I actually have a good relationship with a couple of those past folks, but we said we need to get rid of all of them. They got rid of all of them. We have new commissioners that look like the population in Maryland. And the new commissioner is a Black male who comes from a public health background, who sees it different. He's not a corrections person. All the other people were past law enforcement. So they were white male law enforcement folks that have been there for many years. This new guy is all about getting Philip out. So Philip will be on this tour. I have full faith, and I'll say it. I think, the speakers are going on various speaking engagements and tours once the book come out. I truly believe Philip will be with us for those various tours. He's currently locked up. I just talked with him a couple of days ago. He does amazing thing. He has his own consulting firm. It's Dr. Clover Perez is his outside contact that he works with. I thought Dr. Perez was going to be joining us, but she couldn't make it. But he's a fantastic individual. He has a podcast. His chapter is called The Wall Behind and Beyond. That's actually the name of his podcast as well. I encourage you all to check it out. He's been doing amazing stuff from behind the wall. And thank you, Oz, for offering me that opportunity to share a little bit about it.
And thank you. You know, we all here for one another. So again, we are a voice for the voiceless. We carry the torch for one another. Am I supposed to go right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, how y'all doing? My name is Oswald Newbo. I'm one of the co-authors in the upcoming book. I am in the glorious state of Florida. Good old Florida sunshine. Um, I think what I'm gonna speak to is I appreciate being able to be the voice and share my own chapter rather than somebody else telling my story is because I'm the one, it's my experiences, it's my lessons, it's my hardships, but it's also my growth. So my life is my story and no one else has the right to tell it unless I allow them to. So therefore, that's why I appreciate being able to share my own story. And I guess it'll be a kind of hybrid with my chapter. I actually went in back to, since we was dealing with education, I went back to an educational moment in my life. And that was when I was 6 years old, when my teacher failed me, not because of my academic performance, but because of the color of my skin. And I was 6 years old and didn't even realize it me doing my work and doing good, but I got in trouble. Well, the part I didn't tell y'all is I went and got some whiteout in the typewriter at 6 years old and changed my grades on my report card. That didn't work out too good. I'm 6 years old. My mama took I changed the grade so my mama wouldn't get me. I did as good as a 6 year old. She still told my tail up about that one, right? She did. I mean, she got me good, right? But what happened next was my mom tried to talk to the teacher, get a parent teacher conference, couldn't get her. Went up to the school, the principal took me down to the classroom, took my mom down there. My mom said, I got all of my son work, but he got all these bad grades. Show me in your grade book where he made these bad grades. And when it was all said and done, the teacher was rude, but this the 1970s. So you're talking about a teacher in her 20s that grew up in the 1950s and 60s. Now she's at a predominantly Black elementary school assigned there where she don't want to be, and she just was giving out whatever grade she want to give. And I remember being in the car as a 6 year old and trying to figure out my mama. I'm like, Mama, what happened? And she said, she's prejudiced. And to a 6 year old, that's the hardest word in the world. And I couldn't get it. And I'm like, Mama, well, what that means? She said she don't like you because of the color of your skin. In my 6 year old mind, I couldn't wrap my mind around it. But what it did for me, trying to do my work and do good, I end up getting a whooping and getting in trouble. So I didn't even know how to go forward with doing my work as a child. My parents saying do your work, but at the same time, I did my work and I got in trouble. And so I became disconnected from education over time. Started skipping class in the fourth grade, started skipping school by high school. I was all over the place. And I didn't know until later on in life when I got in trouble and started writing my life story. It took me 8 years when I was locked up to like write my life story. And everything I wrote, I evaluated that point of my life. Sometimes one paragraph, I stayed stuck a week because I was like in therapy, figuring out why did I respond the way I did to that point in my life, or why I didn't make a different decision. So yeah, just a little bit about myself. I get it. When I was 19, I got in trouble. At 20, I got sentenced to 2 life sentences and 15 years in prison in Florida. If y'all know anything about Florida, we don't have parole. It's been gone since the 1980s. So essentially, when a judge give you life in Florida, they say you'll be in a pine box when you leave. So thankfully, I won an appeal and I was able to get a number of years, even though it was great. I did 25 behind the wall, 25 years, 1 month, 13 days. but I'm thankful to be a part of this team because something Nancy was saying, like, I got out, I was doing things, but the more it's kind of crazy. The more good I did, people who I least expected to support me supported me, and those who I thought would support me all of a sudden couldn't stand me. Right? It was ironic, but I came out like one person that I went to school with told me, he said, "Man, you moving too fast." I mean, what you mean? And he really said it before he realized it, but I wasn't even that successful, but I was accomplishing things in a short time that people been working on for years. And it just and they hurt me, like I say, when people you wasn't close to support you, but the people you know are the ones who kind of go to aiming at you. And I had to learn. So what it did, it made me diminish my voice. I became smaller so that other people could look bigger. And it wasn't until I ran into P2P where my first time ever hearing of something called a VPSA made me realize that I need to get my voice back and take control of that because I was minimizing my voice to minimize people aiming at me. And so that's been an internal struggle. But now it's like, I'm like, it is what it is. And I'm just thankful to be ensemble with some great co-authors. But just about my book, I talk about race and its impact on academics. And also I talk about sentencing disparities right there. And that's pretty much why I hang my hat. Like some of the people I work with around here may be a little mad after they read my chapter, but I have to speak my truth.
That's
I have
it.
to speak the truth,
That's
right?
it.
But
That's it.
yeah, so I'm honored and humbled to always be amongst my people. And Dr. Stan, I got to go back to your email this morning. When you love your family love you, you have people you know that you are thankful for and they support you. But it's just nothing like the people who has walked that journey that you walked in life. It's a totally different level of understanding. And just like people don't pour it into me, I'm thankful I could pour into other people because we just hired two people in our office that I was doing a peer mentoring class with at a facility. Now they my coworkers. And one of them, he almost come to tears all the time because sitting on the bunk, you would never know how much people are willing to fight for you. So when he see how much he got an ankle monitor, everything on, and he a government employee right now, talking about redefining narratives, not federal, he local, but yeah, we got him a job with benefits, retirement, and he's on an ankle monitor right now. And
Absolutely.
that's a big accomplishment, especially in Palm Beach County down here in Florida where Mar-a-Lago is close. That's big. So that's my little spiel, and I guess I'll give it back to Dr. Stan. I don't want to pop.
So I think will continue because partly, this is being recorded. So for the recorded audience, and for the fact of we have a couple more chapters and stories before we close out. And also just to add to Oz's chapter, Oz kicks things off. He's the first chapter. Um, and his chapter is called "The Strength of Healed Wounds from Trials to Triumph: Rewriting the Narrative of Justice and Purpose." And I think some of what he shared is a powerful kind of start out of the gates for some of the amazing stories that are part of the book. Um, I would anyone want to jump in? We have Dr. Tommy left. Uh, we have, I think Lisa and Rachel. I was going to ask you both to go together. Um, and Kelsey, would you like to go?
Sure.
Dr. Tommy, you jumped off mute. You want to go?
Yep.
It's okay. Go ahead, Kelsey. I'll go.
I think it's on you, Kelsey.
All right, I guess it's on me. Yeah, so I'm Kelsey Becklin, and I was just going to touch on the concept of writing my own story. So this is something that I think shows up like multiple times throughout my like time in the court systems, but also in higher ed, where there was many times where there was like a room of people that were deciding something major on my future, and I wasn't allowed to be inside that room. So that was from Ban the Box and getting into college and, just jobs where I was denied employment after, and they, had major meetings that I wasn't allowed to be a part of to determine my future in various spaces. So I did touch on, I went kind of back through my story, and one of it is that I really factually don't tell any new information. If somebody Googles me hard enough, they'll find everything really that I talk about in the book. But what I wanted to add was the humanized piece of that was like, what was I thinking about? What was I feeling? What was I kind of going through in that moment that maybe led to some of these decisions? And for me, that was just a very healing and powerful thing to be able to do. I've done it, verbally at talks and conferences where I kind of try to humanize this experience so that hopefully it can touch many people and people can, understand how easy it is to get there and how hard it is to get out. But yeah, that was kind of one of the things that really was important to me with this was to add the humanized piece to these things that people can factually see and that they have used behind closed doors to elicit judgment on me without really having my side of the story. So this was my chance to tell all those people behind closed doors really what I was thinking about and going through. And so that for me was very powerful. And I always say that I kind of hope that stories like mine someday are so common that they're no longer stories anymore. And I hope that like by sharing some of these things that people will feel empowered to share their personal side of what had happened and what had led to where they were. So that was what I was going to share about.
Yes, thank you, thank you. Uh, and so Kelsey is chapter 7, and the title is "It Takes a Village," which again I think, as she just mentioned, the humanistic side of how it's easy to get in and hard to get out is, I think, was just mentioned. So what Kelsey did just share, but she does share in the chapter, is I said Kelsey because that's what you have on the screen there, but I think all of us on the screen know, but not all our viewers know, that that is Dr. Kelsey Becklin, and she talks about that journey of going through that level of higher education when she came home from prison, also in her chapter as well. And I mean, the concept of it takes a village is built into her making it to where she is now. But thank you, Kelsey.
Yeah, thank
All
you.
right, we got 2 left. Dr. Moore, let's go with you. We're gonna leave Lisa
Okay,
and Richard
yeah,
for
that
last.
sounds good. I won't spend much time. I think that the main area of my chapter was resilience and how so many things because of the stigma of incarceration come against us. And I talk about a little bit about riding a city bus for 5 hours to get to a college. One of the things I'm not sure if I mentioned in the chapter or not, but in 2020, we had opened a licensed mental health practice. We still have it. And COVID hit. We opened in 2018. It was actually December 2017, but our first client was 2018. And when COVID hit, we were uneligible in Florida to get the PPE loans because of my conviction. So the SBA, the Small Business Association, was actually handing out the loans, and we were denied on the fact of my conviction of a violent crime, second-degree felony. So I live in Nebraska now. I teach in several institutions. I have my hands in everything. I probably have 4 or 5 different jobs. I teach for a community college as an adjunct. I work for an organization called Rise, where I teach entrepreneurship inside of prisons. And I also teach for the University of Nebraska Omaha, some business classes. And then I'm a co-owner of Priority One Coaching, Counseling, and Consulting, which is a licensed mental health facility in the state of Florida. we have 2 locations. We have one in Orlando, one in Tampa, and we employ 23 licensed mental health therapists. So, just the fact of not hearing those other voices. When we talk about, writing our own voice and being our own author of our own chapter, like that can go negative for me. I can be the one that says, oh, I'm just not good enough, or oh, I'm too old, or, I can even write my own narrative that is not pretty. But one of the things I've realized is, I came out of prison I went in at 29. I had an 11-year sentence. I did 9 years, 3 months. I don't know how it is now, but whenever I was incarcerated in the state of Florida, 85% was the minimum. So you had to do 85%, and that was good time. So I did 9 years and 3 months on an 11-year sentence. And, when I got out, I marched my way through a lot of adversity into a PhD in business administration, financial management. But more importantly, I actually got in the ring of entrepreneurship, got my nose bloody several times, was able to open, grow, and sell 3 businesses, and currently open and currently growing a business in Florida from Nebraska. So I just really feel like oftentimes that we have to, and when I say we, I'll say I have to remind myself who I am. And everyone else is going to try to put their jacket on me. He just lucky. He just tied into these people. He just, whatever. But I always just want to remind myself of who I am, who my higher power says I am. And I'm royalty, and I'm favored. And, yeah, you can tell me no, but just because you say that I can't, that just tells me a question of how can I? So anytime I would run into, hey, you can't, like I had so many people tell me, like, you can't be a financial advisor with a felony. And why are you going for finance? No one's going to hire a convicted felon specifically and especially to manage their money. And, I would get all this resistance. And there was just something in me that just kept pushing, saying, that's what you think, that's your jacket. That's not what I wear. What I wear is I can. I just have to ride a bus 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day, or I just have to pedal my bicycle 12 miles for my community college experience. So I actually go into the resilience and endurance, and the fact that there was a place for me at P2P where I could come and share and be vulnerable. And oftentimes through my journey, there were times where I just really didn't think I was going to finish, specifically and especially because my SME, my special or specific matter expert, specialist matter expert, like he wouldn't move me on. And my chair ended up eventually like telling me, we have to change SMEs. You're not going to get a degree if we don't. And so after, it took me 18 months to write my dissertation. So there were so many times where I just wanted to quit. I just wanted to say, why keep trying? If society has me labeled like this, then why am I trying to label myself different? And the truth of the matter is that society's wrong. And, I go into the prisons here in Nebraska and I promote P2P. There's a lot of people in Nebraska that are trying to get into P2P while they're incarcerated. The guys are asking me to stand down there to speak. I'm like, dude, I don't know his honorarium, and I'm not even going to attempt at that right now. But everyone wants, one of the things, and I'll end with this because I'm like Nancy, I can be long-winded. Love you, Nancy. One of the things that that I really learned through all of this was, having that support behind me and knowing that, hey, I still have to do the run. There's a difference between someone supporting you and someone enabling you. And I remember early on that Dr. Andrees said, we invest in potential and we'll invest in you when you graduate. And I didn't graduate the first cohort. I had to come back. But as soon as I graduated, it was like, I couldn't stop the bucket from pouring in. Hey, we want to help you. We want to promote you. We want to work. We want to partner with you. And so I'm confident that I would not be where I'm at today if it weren't for the faith and hope and help of P2P and other organizations, but P2P has been vital in my journey. And I have a 1:30 meeting, which is my time. I know you're Eastern time, I'm Central, but I was like, I got to take in as much as I can, just because I love hearing the other authors and I love creating a platform where we can all be free to share what we want without judgment. All of that just matters. It just matters. And that's what I try to do locally up here is I try to go in and put purpose. I told the guys, you may not get rich with the investing class that I teach, but you'll have a purpose. And a person without purpose seeks pleasure. So if you have a purpose, that's what you're after. You're staying out of trouble when you have a purpose. So that's what I try. I try to instill some kind of purpose, some kind of mission into people re-entering so that they can come out here and have something to go for. And I think that's a successful key component to reentry as well.
Thank you, Dr. Moore. So Dr. Moore's chapter is chapter 5, resilience and perseverance win. I think very fitting for much of what he just shared. So I know we're over time. It's okay, we're recording, so that's Mickey will get us straight as he puts it on YouTube for others to view. I will pass it to our last set of authors, or our last authors here that are with us. But before I do that, I just want to shout out the authors who weren't able to make this session today. And that is Tanaj Moody. Her chapter is chapter 2, titled Light to Life, One Mission, One Voice, a story of resilience and advocacy. Chapter 3 from Dr. Brian Metcalf, Lessons Beyond the Classroom, an Educator's Journey of Resilience, Redemption, and Purpose. And then I, of course, mentioned the one other author who was not able to join us today, Philip Alvin Jones. So that actually brings us to our final authors for this, 12 chapters and 12 stories, Lisa and Rachel.
What, you missed William?
I was trying so hard not to miss anybody. Thank you so much. I was going through the list real quick. So yes, thank you. Chapter 11, by William Freeman, A Stage Worthy of Freedom.
Freedom.
Yes.
Okay, so my name is Lisa, and this is my wife, Rachel. And I'm from Klamath Falls, but we're currently on this call from Oregon City. So many things that have been said struck a chord with me so far. Like, when I was incarcerated, I found myself at one point with standing in the middle of a day room looking at 108 other women that didn't have any answers for me. And I was going to college while I was on the inside, and I had some math, and I looked around and nobody could answer my questions, right? And I went outside and checked the other units, and nobody could answer those questions either. And I got kind of mad. Here I was in the middle of 1,000 women that couldn't answer these questions for me, and I thought, well, you know what? I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to be around people or have anything to do with people that don't have answers for me, right? And so I learned all that math, and then I started teaching GED math because all these women, for the ones that didn't have answers for me, somebody had to have answers for them, right? So I taught GED math the whole time I was inside, but one of our college professors actually brought in your book From Prison Cells to PhD. And years before that is when I looked around and didn't have any answers. And when I read that book, I told Rachel, we have to find this guy. Like, because we're getting ready to get out. We have to find this guy. I was like, I don't care. I will find this guy. And the reason for that is because I've always wanted to be a doctor, right? I wanted to be a medical doctor, but I knew that I couldn't do that with my felonies. However, I didn't realize the path or understand the path that I needed to be on in order to get a PhD. And so, yeah. So actually, when she brought the book into us and we read it, I had so many things in common, and then when I got out, I thought, well, Rachel, here's our chance. We have to find Stan. And she actually found him for me.
Yeah, it was the first. Actually, is me and Lisa paroled 2 weeks apart in September and October of 2022. So we haven't even been out that long, but we were attended our first NCHEP conference that month.
That week, yeah.
Maybe that next weekend after Lisa got out. And so that's where I recognized your name, Dr. Stan, on that Hoover app. And not knowing anything other than what my first professor had told me is that there's a place for you guys. There's a world out there of people like you, and they all know your name, and they're waiting for you guys to get out. And so here we're out, not even out a week, and there's this author, like this author of this book. There he is. And so I started talking to Anuva, and um it's been sort of a rocky road for the two of us. I think we can agree, along with all the rest of the people that participate in P2P. It wasn't until we became scholars and now authors that we actually have had a really guided direction of our path, where we know what we want, we know where we're going, we know who we're going with, and this is the true meaning of coming home. This is family, and we're just really grateful for the opportunity to be here today again, and then knowing what the future holds with each and every one of our P2P family members.
Yeah, but the professor that Rachel's talking about, she gave us confidence and hope, and told us that we're teachable, and we had forgotten that. You lose so much while you're incarcerated, and when we got out, we did have a community to go to, and we did have people that knew our names, and we did have a place in this world, and that was really the ultimate thing that set us up for success, right? And then when I was searching for you and Rachel found you, and then the next year I tried to catch up with you at InChep, and then it wasn't until I went to DC to Horizons conference that I ran into you. I didn't even know you were going to be there right at that meet and greet for what is it? I think it's
their Justice Fellowship.
Yeah, it was the meet and greet for that. And then I realized how approachable you are, you know. I mean, you were approachable when we were scholars. We talked to you, you had Zoom meetings with us, talked to me about pursuing PhD, and actually gave me hope for a possibility for that. And then, it wasn't until we saw you in person that I realized that you are reachable, you are touchable, you are tangible, you are actually a person um that has been there, done that, and has resources to open doors for us. And then um it really changed our lives. So I think being a part of this book and telling our story ourselves is probably the best way that our story could have ever been told, because nobody knows what it felt like to be me, and nobody knows what it felt like to be locked up while I was me. So, do you have anything else? That's
Yes,
it.
yes. Thank you, Lisa and Rachel. You know, as I think most of you all know, you know, Lisa and Rachel are married and you know, got married on the inside, and tell
I-
a little bit about that story, and the challenges of that they encountered. So definitely another powerful chapter to check out.
Real quick so that we can get that out there, and then we can continue on with the authors that will
Well,
be able to
does
tell the
Elizabeth,
story.
are you able to stay on a little bit longer?
I'm actually at CEA and I kind of have to go. If I could just drop this real fast, if that's all
Okay.
right.
Yes.
Great. Can I go for it? Okay. So I don't know if people have seen the social media post about this new collaboration. We're asking for people's applications for the Workforce and Education State Advisory Collaborative. It's coming out of Unlock Higher Ed. I'm the new federal chair committee. Mickey just dropped a list in the chat of states that we are still looking for representatives from. But I am happy to say we have been live for about 2 weeks now, and we've had 52 applications, and we have 25 states represented in those applications. So that's fire. Okay. But this network at work on our state level, showing up for each other, and then also applying for this. The goal of this collaborative is to create a nationwide network to shore up our legislation advocacy, research, and problem solving on a state level, and then share what we're learning on a state and local level with other states who may be doing the same thing. Why rework the wheel? Why reinvent the wheel when we already have solutions that might be applicable across state levels? And we at Unlock Higher Education hope to be the mechanism to facilitate those conversations. One thing that we can offer people who do volunteer their time in this capacity, part of this collaborative, is leadership training, support for initiative building, and some course materials. And if you want to know more about that, you can email me, and Mickey will drop my email in the chat. And that's where we are. So if there's any questions, I'll take brief questions. If not, I will hand the meeting back over to this fabulous book and discussion with these authors and your stories that matter more than any other thing. And also push forward this legislation that we're working on nationally.
What I have to say is collaboratives like this that have allowed us to be able to be successful in this journey of reentry and bring us to the point of authorship. So it's very important conversation, and it's very important to be connected with organizations and platforms and collaboratives like this. So thank you, Elizabeth, for heading that collaborative. And I can't wait to see the individuals that are going to be part of that work and bringing that work forth. So thank you.
Super.
And with that, I thank our Unlock Higher Ed audience for joining us. We close there, and thank you to all of the co-authors. It's been a pleasure, and thank you to all that are viewing and listening. Appreciate you all.